Today on Judge Faith. They rented a house to her brother, but never imagined what would happen next.
It looks like a dance floor. There was speakers. There's a temporary wall there.
I would just have parties in there.
Now they say the house is destroyed and he's responsible.
See, the problem is my brother thinks this is a joke.
I told you to stay out of it from the beginning, Jessica. You wanted to get involved. I begged you to stay out of it.
But he says they're just out to take his money.
First time living on his own, out of his parents' house, and you basically went buck wild. That's what you did.
Faith Jenkins. Her distinguished legal career began when she graduated first in her law school class. She quickly became a tough New York City prosecutor, and then a preeminent legal analyst on cable news. And now she's the judge in her own courtroom. Her cases are real, and her rulings are final. She is Judge Faith. Plaintiff Rick Vayu says he rented his house to his girlfriend's brother, and then the defendant destroyed it. He's suing for past due rent, utilities, and property damage. He's accompanied by Jessica McInnes. Defendant Lenny McInnes says the house was already in disrepair, and he doesn't know anything because there wasn't a valid lease.
Remain seated and come to order. Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Faith Jenkins presiding. Your Honor, we have Vayu versus McInnes.
Thank you, Barbara. Rick Vayu,
Yes, ma'am.
you are suing the defendant, Lenny McInnes,
Lenny's fine.
for $6,287, which includes unpaid rent, utilities, and property damages to a home you own?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you understand the statutory maximum in my court is $5,000?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so why don't we start from the beginning? Tell me what's going on here.
Basically, I wanted to give my brother-in-law a chance at renting my first home.
What do you mean by kind of brother-in-law?
Well, this is my girlfriend, Jessica McInnes, and
that's my brother.
that's her brother. So
not quite brother-in-law, but
not quite
maybe one day.
brother-in-law, but we have a child and
Okay.
together, and we have a good family relationship.
How long have the two of you been together?
Going on 7 years.
Okay, so you've known him for a while.
Yes.
Rick and I were having another child. We needed a bigger home. My brother showed interest in wanting to rent the house out.
So,
Where were you living at the time, sir?
I was living with my parents.
And how old are you, Lenny?
27.
27? Okay. So when you moved in 2010, you were 23?
23, yep.
Okay. Was this the first time you lived outside on your
Outside my
own,
parents' house,
outside
yes,
of
Your
your
Honor.
parents' house?
Yep.
Okay. This was the house you were living in together
Yes.
with your child.
Correct.
You were having another child, so you wanted a bigger house.
Correct.
So you found a larger house, and then you decided to keep the smaller one and lease it out.
Correct.
I'm looking at the copy of the lease now. It started in January of 2010, and it ended January 2011. Did you sign a subsequent lease?
I signed no other lease. That's the only papers I signed.
Okay, so then by default, he's under a month-to-month lease then.
Correct. We gave him some leeway on it. We didn't charge him a full amount for a security deposit.
How much did you ask him to pay for a security deposit?
Actually, it was $300.
Okay, and how much was the
it wasn't given
rent?
all up front anyways. I had
Rent
to kind
was
of
$700.
Okay,
$700.
so that is a pretty good deal, sir. So you move out on what month?
I just moved out August of this year.
August what, sir?
31st.
Oh, so wait, you moved out on August 31st. When did you notify him you were moving out?
September 1st.
Okay, so you understand that's a problem.
What? Well, we finished moving all of our stuff out late that evening.
Why? Because you moved out and you didn't tell him you were leaving. That's a problem.
Right.
You understand that?
Yes.
Because when you're on a month-to-month lease, you have to give the landlord 30 days notice that you're moving out, so they can in turn then find somebody to rent the property if
Right.
they so choose.
But
So
you
you
said-
gave no notice and you moved out on August 31st?
Yes.
Okay, so you're suing for 1 month's rent. You have to pay for rent for September.
Well, Your Honor, a month and a half prior to that, he jumped my rent up $150. Sent that to me in a text midway through a month.
From $700 to $850 in 4 years?
Yes, sir.
And you're complaining?
Yes, Your Honor.
Really?
Yes.
That's a good deal, sir. You're getting the family discount, just so you know. In 4 years, your rent didn't go up?
Well, it did go up. When I was...
And there's a reason behind that, Your Honor.
No, there's no explanation needed. $700 you were paying $700 in 2010. He went up $150 in 2014. And you're complaining about it.
Yes, Your Honor.
Am I being punked? Like, is Ashton Kutcher going to come running out of here? I just want to know. freezing. You owe September rent. You didn't give notice, you owe September rent. What else do we have?
Well, we're going for their water bill that he didn't pay since 2012.
You didn't pay the water bill for 2 years?
Your Honor, you can look in the contract. It states that the landlord pays the water bill.
Actually, what the lease says, sir, is that the landlord agrees to pay up to $40 towards the water bill, and you would be responsible for the remainder.
Right.
So when you moved in 2010, you understood that, right?
Yes.
And you were paying the water bill, correct?
I never paid the water bill.
I'm sorry, I'm a little confused.
I never paid the water bill.
Is there a reason why?
It was a 3-month cycle on the water bill, and the most it ever got for that 3 months was like $37.
But he never submitted the water bill to us.
Okay, so let me ask you something. So who do you think, you're getting the bill? You're getting a water bill, correct?
We were both getting a bill, because it goes to him as the homeowner.
And you're saying your water bill stayed under $40 for 4 years, and so you never had to pay a water bill as a result of that?
I never paid a water bill.
He had a hot tub as well, so he was filling a hot tub.
You had a hot tub, sir?
Yes.
Okay.
That's
So the total water bill that he owes is $1,014.87.
When you were getting water bills, did you see that there were late charges because the bill wasn't being paid, sir? Or you just weren't opening the bills?
I wasn't opening the water bills because the...
How do you know that they were under $40 every month for 4 years?
Complete neglect.
He would send me text messages saying the water bill is this, the water bill is this, the water bill is this.
That's
and
right.
I just ignore it because the contract states that he's going to pay the water bill.
Is it true that the bill was under $40 each month?
No.
Okay.
And he was supposed to supply us the water bill when it came in the mail.
Were you paying the $40 that you said you would contribute to the bill every month?
No, I didn't. But on the lease, it states that I would pay $40 towards the water bill if he provided me with the water bill.
That's what it says.
Because I do have my own life. I have a job. I have kids. You know, yes, it's my property, and I take responsibility for it.
It's kind of a strange term to put in a lease, but for whatever reason, that was the term that he put in the lease, that you would have to provide him with the water bill, and he would pay up to $40 of the bill, but you never did that because you weren't even opening them, right?
Right.
Okay, so you owe for the water bill.
Coming up on Judge Faith, is Rick just trying to get money to fix up his aging house? Or did Lenny take his home decorating project too far?
When me and my buddy first moved in, he said, if you're going to tear down any walls, just don't tear the whole house down.
What landlord would say that? We also, in the garage, he also put in a illegal stove, which could have burnt down my garage.
And he lived there for 4 years, so you're going to have, as a landlord, you're going to have some repairs you have to make to the home.
Plaintiff Rick Vayu says he never expected his girlfriend's brother would become a deadbeat tenant. He's suing for past due rent, utilities, and property damage. Defendant Lenny McKinnis says he doesn't owe anything because his landlord didn't have a city permit to rent his house and it was an illegal lease.
Let's go to the next part of your lawsuit, which is the biggest portion of your lawsuit, damages.
Yes.
You say that Mr. McInnes caused a number of significant damages to the home.
Correct.
Now, you brought photos of the damages.
Yes, I did.
Okay, I'd like to take a look at those in the flat screen.
I have, well,
What is this?
This is the house pretty much when just after he had left. It just shows overgrown weeds. I never kept the property like that. I mean, right behind the fence there, it was just way overgrown. I mean, that's just a basic example.
But you do know tenants don't take care of your yard like you would, right?
Well,
like
in the lease,
you
it
know
states that he should. So, that he should.
But you know how it is.
One of the largest damages.
This is Lenny who doesn't pay the water bill.
Correct.
So you have to,
But I
understand
figured if
what's
he was
going
half
on
as
here.
good as my beautiful girlfriend, then I was in good luck. I had a good chance.
I mean, you should have known that, and he's lived there for 4 years, right? So these issues are a long time coming.
Right.
Let's
And
go
I
to the
understand I
next
can't get
photo.
everything that I'm asking for, but now this is the front bedroom. It used to be my daughter's bedroom. There's mold there on the bottom there, which basically.
Well, I don't know that that's mold looking at the. Is that mold?
That's mold.
Okay. Where did?
The carpet is destroyed because of the mold as well. Now, I'm not asking for full reimbursement of that room because it's probably partially my fault. I don't have gutters, or didn't have gutters on the house.
Okay, so that was, what was the issue with the mold?
Well, we had a desk and some storage bins, and I have pictures here.
Barbara, would you hand those to me?
We had a desk underneath that window and some storage bins and just some shelves and stuff on the wall. And so when we were moving out is when we found that stuff. We had to throw our desk away. So I went outside, I looked, there's no gutters on the outside of the house. It's all just coming in under.
So you didn't realize until you were moving out that there was mold?
That's correct.
And one of the reasons was because of the gutter issue, not having gutters.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to the next photo.
And it's because of this photo, Your Honor.
Well, hold on, let's see.
Yeah, that's where that mold was that we were talking about. That's the condition that he lived in.
Well, but I don't know what it looked like before he moved in. Are you telling me that, do you have before photos?
I do have before photo.
Okay, let's go to the next photo. Is that mold?
It's probably because that tiling that's on the wall is cardboard.
Did it look like this when you moved in?
It wasn't that bad. No. And I even redid the caulking on there. Mm-hmm. But that tile that's on the shower wall is cardboard.
It's shower wall.
Once once water gets behind there, there's no stopping it.
I don't know that I need to see the before photos based on what I'm seeing right now, Lenny. I'm not sure if I need to.
Yeah, I mean,
let's go to the next one.
He didn't clean it. I mean, those are my cabinets that actually Jessica and I reworked. They used to be brown, ugly cabinets. We reworked them. When I came into the house to look, he put screws into the cabinets to hold them. He could have contacted me and say, hey, your cabinet faces are loose. He didn't do that.
Your Honor.
Okay, so what's going on here?
I got 3 cabinet faces that are destroyed.
You opened the door and it fell off. The whole drawer just fell apart.
And that's what you call a repair? I mean, that's horrible.
What is this?
That's his play site, I guess, that's the garage door. He used it as a backdrop for hockey. He plays hockey.
There are a lot of dents in that garage door.
And it's
Did you
pushed
do that?
in as well.
Yes,
it's pushed in as well.
Why?
I have no reason.
I mean, that's one of the big items, Your Honor. It's the average. I've got 3 estimates on that one. 2 are $1,000 and one's $915. The average is $957.50.
I mean, after you put a few dents in the garage doors.
It still works.
No, it doesn't.
It only works halfway.
I would think that after you put a few dents in the garage door, you would say, this might not be a good idea.
Yes, Your Honor. It still worked.
Maybe he can explain that one more than I can. There's a temporary wall there where the garage door is, and it looks like a dance floor. There was speakers. I don't know what he was doing.
Were you in a band?
To be honest with you.
No, I would just have parties in there.
This is the garage?
Yes.
See, this is what happened. You moved in at 23 years old.
Yes, Your Honor.
First time living on his own, out of his parents' house, and you basically went buck wild.
But
That's what you did.
Right. But, Your Honor, in the garage, he also put in a illegal stove, which could have burnt down my garage.
Were you barbecuing in the garage?
No. There was
a wood stove.
It was a wood stove, and there was a hole in the corner already.
And what was the purpose of you putting a wood stove in the garage?
Heat.
For the parties?
Yes.
Okay. Did you get permission to build a stage?
He said...
In the garage?
When me and my buddy first moved in, he said, if you're going to tear down any walls, just let me know. He said, you don't have to paint, don't have to do any of that, just don't tear the whole house down.
What? What landlord would say that? What are you talking about?
That
he
doesn't
told
make
you
sense.
to treat the home like it was his.
That's right, because I worked hard on that house, getting it to
See, the
be
problem
that
is my
first
brother
home.
thinks this is a joke, and he doesn't understand that I'm
Absolutely.
losing time from my daughter.
Then
I'm
why are
working
you here?
60 to 80
Then
hours
why
a
are
week.
you here?
So I don't have to keep fighting with you.
Yeah, I told you to stay out of it from the beginning, Jessica. You wanted to get involved. I begged you to stay out of it.
And I told you to come to me if you needed help.
I begged you to stay out of it. I begged you to stay out of it.
And now I'm working 60, 80 hours.
Well, she can't. Let me tell you something. She can't stay out of it because this was their home.
Next on Judge Faith, can this sister and brother put the past due rent behind them, or is their relationship damaged forever?
He's been late on rent multiple times, and I've thrown money into rent. Even though him and I are boyfriend and girlfriend, that was still my brother.
Begged my sister to stay out of it because she's the only one working.
She's the reason why you lived in that house for 4 years and the rent never went up.
Plaintiff Rick Vayu says he and his girlfriend thought they were doing her brother a favor when they rented him the house, but instead the defendant became a tenant from hell. He's suing for past due rent, utilities, and property damage. Defendant Lenny McInnes says the house was falling apart and he doesn't owe them for normal wear and tear.
You moved into their home.
I moved into his home.
No, it was their home that they built together. She's the reason why you got the discount, young man, you understand? She's the reason why you lived in that house for 4 years and the rent never went up. So you don't know because you've never lived out on your own. In the real world, it doesn't work that way. You moved out without any notice, without giving him even a day's notice.
Right.
Absolutely zero respect for
Your Honor,
the landlord-tenant relationship, but also the relationship with your sister.
when he increased my rent $150, the Michigan law requires you a 30-day notice on that, and that would breach any contract.
No, it doesn't. I prorated the rent because he even put it in a text message around her regarding, I need 30 days notice. So he had just admitted that he needed 30-day notice, but I even prorated it for 30 days. So he didn't have to pay the full $150 increase in rent. He only paid $96.
What is the relationship with the two of you like now?
We haven't spoken since this whole year. Before that, I told him multiple occasions. He's been late on rent multiple times, and I've thrown money into rent without Rick knowing, because even though him and I are boyfriend and girlfriend, that was still my brother. He was still my brother, But now, I told him to come to me. I was like, Gia, if you cannot pay the $150
extra in rent,
come to me and let me know. And he didn't. He moved out.
Did she tell you that?
She did tell me that, Your Honor.
You have no excuse. I'm sorry. You know what?
Your Honor, it's not fair to my sister.
You have no excuse. You should be ashamed of yourself for how you have acted, how you treated that home, how you treated your sister. You should be ashamed of yourself.
I disagree, Your Honor. I begged my sister to stay out of it because she's the only one working. She's the only one providing for their family.
And I told you to come to me, and you know I'm the only one working.
Let me tell you something. That's not your business. Your business is to pay rent when it's due. Your business is to pay the water bill when it's due. And stop playing hockey on someone else's garage and putting 100,000 dents in their garage and damaging their property. That's your business. You're not taking care of your business. So before you can get into your sister's business, you need to learn how to take care of your own business. Where are you living now?
I'd rather not say in front of them because I don't want them to know.
He's in hiding, Your Honor.
How did you find him to serve him with the lawsuit?
We served him at work. He works with some family members.
Okay, that's how you were able to serve him. Yeah. Okay, so you're just ducking and dodging everyone at this point.
That's not true, Your Honor. And
our family doesn't even know where he lives, and he works with the family.
Yeah.
May I see the estimates for the damages, please?
Yep, absolutely.
Here's what I'm going to do for damages, because you provided the court with a list of over 40 items you say the defendant is responsible for. I take issue with some of the items you provided in your list, because what a tenant is responsible for when they move out is anything that exceeds normal wear and tear. Correct. And he lived there for 4 years, sure. So you're going to have, as a landlord, you're going to have some repairs you have to make to the home.
And now, Judge Faith rules.
I did go through your entire list of 40 items. I'm just letting you know, but some of these things are clearly normal wear and tear that he's not responsible for. However, you are going to pay him for the remainder of the damages.
Well, Your Honor, some of the damages, like
here's my judgment. Yes. Stop. $850 for September rent, $1,014 for the past due water bills, $957.50 for the garage door. I have your estimate on that. So that's a total of $2,821. I am also going to order you to pay an additional $1,882 in damages for a total of $4,703. Verdict for the plaintiff. And I'm just going to reiterate to you again, because this is not just your landlord. This is your sister.
That's not my family.
Well, you know what? That's your problem, and that's really sad. You have a lot of growing up to do, young man. Verdict for the plaintiff.
Thank you, Your Honor.
If you or someone you know has a dispute, don't take the law into your own hands. Let Judge Faith rule on it for you. To submit your case, go to judgefaith.com and tell us your story. See you in court.